taken on a life of its own. And I now have a
Great.
vision for it that, is just I think Sean has heard a little bit about this, but it's the first step. It's kind of harnessing the bulk industry and getting it, bring it up to the modern age, and the information that's available, and decision making on bulk shouldn't be based on, you know, a mash bill, a producer, and an age and a price. You really should understand more about what's in the, what's going in the bottle, or what your options are and costs. Anyway, but the next step is to integrate with co-packers. So I've got RFPs out now that are being responded to by three of players, and when I see how those go, we'll decide if anyone else is coming in. Then the next part of it is building. So the next part is building the barrel to bottle, right? And then the third part of it is a compliance engine that's already started to be built,
Mm.
that provides, you know, insights into, what are the if you're going to have this brand and you want to launch it in this market, this market, and this market, or just this market, and it has recommendations in theory. It tells you what you need to do, and it even reminds you about compliance deadlines. And then the third part of it, the fourth part of it, which is related to that, is then tying in with sales teams. And so I'm having all those discussions with the various people, and seeing how that goes. Because I mean, compliance to me, you've got all these small brands that pay thousands and thousands of dollars to the Park Streets of the world to do back office stuff, which most of it really doesn't need to be that expensive. So anyway,
Mm.
that's my pitch. Hello, Vanessa.
Oh,
Let's,
listen,
yeah.
just as a little corollary to all that, some of the larger contract manufacturing facilities, who shall remain nameless but are obvious, are now trying to squeeze their customers into longer term deals with very, very financially backwards thinking, because they're starting to get squeezed on the, hey, where's my money that I put in?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And a lot of these customers are now looking and shopping for more nimble, attractive people who are willing to work with them.
Well, that's exactly right. And just to reinforce that before we get into this,
For contract manufacturing?
well,
Some of the
co-packing,
some
or,
yeah,
or
co-packing.
contracting. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the
Okay.
larger people.
So that's the issue, because I've said to them, I don't want to, we're not going to bring any major established brands through this platform. It's going to be new brands, startups, someone that might want to just test a brand, get it, do proof of concept in one market. So the real issue, I said, you need to focus on what the minimums are, and we need to make it so that it's not onerous. And it's, I've given them there's like 10 pages of, suggested requirements that they need to think about. And all three of them, and these are three of the ones that you all probably, well, one of them may not be, but, they're all working on it and understanding that that's kind of the future, is a little bit more boutique. Even if you're a big production house, you're not going to have, I mean, you might still have your, obviously if you're a Bardstown, you're still going to have, they do half of the Heaven Hills stuff. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let me,
But you know what? Can y'all hear me?
yes, but
Yes.
I actually haven't actually, oh, I
You
have
know
to.
what?
Wait, never mind. We've been recording, so I'll just edit the beginning up.
No,
Okay.
it's you know
Welcome to Drinks Professionals with human beings, not AI chatbots.
okay. But it sounds like it's something that's already happening, because I do that. I do smaller minimums. That's
Mhm.
why a lot of brands come to me so they can test it. But I can't say the name. No, you
Yeah.
probably know the name, starts with a D. I've been working with a bigger company
Uh-huh.
for the last 2 years that's been using smaller craft distilleries to do smaller minimum
Yep.
for testing the market and testing, but because it costs, they
Yeah.
got 50,
They got a
100
lot more
people
overhead.
working in Illinois. They don't want to
Yeah.
do that, when they have million cases going out. So it only
No,
makes sense.
that's, you know what, that's a really good insight. And I will send you the RFP because it may be worth you looking at for that very purpose. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking the opposite way, and that like let's go to the big guys who most people think are not, nimble enough or
They
affordable
don't
enough.
have when I go and visit one of the this is a huge player. They just built a facility in Alabama. So hence the word Montgomery, right? They just opened that. Um, they are they're trying to do I'm not going to say scale down. They're trying to be lean
Mhm.
in terms of their R&D and not put too much resources into the existing infrastructure because they realize it strains it. If you got a bottling facility, a 200,000 square foot bottling facility, and you source already, right? Why would you even put more dollars into a higher executive staff of testing something when you can just go to a craft distiller
Yeah, go to somebody
that's
without,
smaller
without all that
and
overhead. Yeah.
right and do that and then know, you know, is their formula.
Well,
So, and then
they,
they
they,
can
they have to keep their
scale it.
production focused at what's generating revenue.
Right. And then they can scale it. And
Hmm.
then it's easy to take it out of the market
Hmm.
because if it's something that's not working, shoot, to them, 40,000 bottles is not a lot.
Right,
To
right,
me,
right.
40,000 bottles is a lot.
It's all
Yeah,
relative. Yeah.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
So,
sure.
and they got a couple of 100,000. That's like pennies
You
to a
know,
billion-dollar company.
when you think about it, I'm going to relate it to barrels, but it used to be that when you had a new fill allocation, you couldn't do it for less than 1,000 barrels a year. And it was sometimes it was 5,000 barrels. They were not wired to be serving brands that need 100 barrels a year, for new fill. And now all of a sudden, there are minimums that are, 90, 30, you know, um, for new, but
16.
that was never the case. Yeah, well, right. And sometimes it's, I got a message the other day from one of the newer producers offering me new fill for 350 a barrel, which
Oh,
is like, I thought the 450 that I've been, or 75 was great, but they literally said, hey, and it's not new fill, it's stuff that they've distilled over the past, couple of months. And I'm guessing what it is that they distilled it for somebody who didn't pay for it, who didn't close, with the second 50%. But um, so, but it's like, holy shit, that was the wood. That was what the wood used to
I
cost.
was just going to ask you that, like
yeah.
a year and a half ago or so, we were talking about how expensive the wood was becoming.
Yeah. The wood is now,
350.
well, that went away faster than, I mean, it was in late 21, 22. That was the wood shortage. And I remember sitting there in conversations um, with, distillers saying, I got to raise the price because I can't. I The barrel prices were then about 350, but they couldn't even get them. So they had to be buying them from somebody who had extra barrels, and they were paying 400, 450 for wood. That's before the freight, you know. Um,
Yeah, that's what I
Oh
paid.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, hello, Dave.
my
Good
God.
morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Welcome to another session of Drinks Professionals. And I think this might be your first visit.
Far as you know.
Oh, you've
No,
been visiting.
I don't think I've been able to log on before, but thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome. So let's do kind of a reset here because we've got uh, Dave and Sean, who's really new to this party, but everyone else has been here for a bit. Attila has been here for years, and Vanessa for years, and Dan for, I would say it's years now, occasional. So I think maybe what we should do is do a quick self-intro for everybody, for these guys.
Dave knows me well, for better or for worse.
Hopefully, it's not the worst part.
Right.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Hanging out in Detroit where Taylor is something else, boy.
North of Detroit. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, nobody wants to talk about themselves, so that's fine.
If you want me to.
You
the only lady right here.
You're always an open book, so that's good. Do it.
Well, I'm Vanessa Grace Andy Braxton, distiller extraordinaire.
Oh. If she says so herself. But
I don't have my award here. I just got back from Albany. The New York Senate gave me an award.
What did that cost?
Nothing.
Wait, we can't see it. We can't see it because your background, it disappears.
Oh, I don't know how. Can you see it?
Now we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Oh, now we can't see anything. Oh, yep. Oh.
Yeah. Woman of Distinction
Woo!
Award from New York State Senate. And I was nominated. I didn't even know. I was nominated by Senator Monica Martinez, where my distillery is in District 4.
And is it for passion and persistence in not letting the legislature, ignore the needs of the craft producers in the state?
Yeah, well, yes, pretty much. And also with me being an advocate for, for also minorities, Black women, small craft, producers, and of course help pushing these laws, and let me tell you, when I went to a session, they did a whole resolution. This was a big thing.
Wow.
They had press, they had catering, they had the governor's people. It's a good thing I dressed up because you know me, I'm going in sweats.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's no sweats that day. Okay.
And I even put lipstick on. So it was, and of course, drinks after. I toted with 5 cases, but that was at a separate location. But it was really a great event. I had no idea that New York senators, like the state Senate, had 3 times as much power on the budget. Did not know that.
3 times.
There's only 63
representatives.
Yeah, for New York State. So I asked myself, I said, you know what? I need some money. I need a grant.
Put in a good word for all of us.
Now, there's an approach Michael hadn't thought about.
Yeah, I need some money for my building.
Can Sean operate out of your New York distillery for a little bit? Because he's going.
Yeah.
Are you in New York?
Well, no, he's not. But so, Sean, you should pipe in because Sean is in the midst of trying to relaunch a brand that he has to rebrand it, and we're trying to do a little money raise just to get to that next step. And
what state are you in, Sean?
I'm in North Carolina.
Oh shit!
Story of my life.
You need to be I'm gonna be honest. You need to become a Republican or something. I'm an independent, so that way you can get some money, because the Republicans are controlling the purse. The Senate out there, they're controlling the purse for you to get money. That's what I just learned.
Purple state, but yeah, still Republican, and I'd say controlled at this point still.
Yeah, but they have grant money. I just found out that every state, and you guys all need to really look into it. Go to you can look online through the economic development. Every state has grant money for manufacturers.
Mm.
We're
Okay,
considered
okay.
USDA, since we're agriculture, so they
What?
have money for that
Yeah.
as a grant, so look into it. It's there
Yeah.
because I looked into it because I own property in Indiana.
Ernesto, it's on the road.
So,
Good
and
morning.
good morning, when I got home, I looked up Indiana and they have a shitload of grants
Wow.
for, for manufacturing, they don't call it distillery. They just say if you're manufacturing and
Well,
you're
I think his
using,
challenge is that he's co-packing.
Yeah, I am
it's the
blending
same
and bottling
thing.
right now, but
It's the same thing.
I have a DSP, so
It's the same thing because they don't know the difference.
yeah,
As
yeah.
long as
Well, I
you're
get that.
using, right, as long as say you're using North Carolina or you're using something from the US. You're
Sure.
not importing tequila, some shit like that, right?
Right, right.
Some
Right.
shit like
So as
that.
long as you're using um ingredients in the US that's more than 51%,
Mm-hmm.
you could be co-packing, it's the same, because that's considered like assembling. You
Gotcha.
don't have to actually be the producer. If you source from other producers or farmers in the area, that even makes it better. That's how I found out that Tito's got that $4 million
Oh
from the
wow.
USDA for marketing as a grant.
So would it
So I
be?
didn't blow the whistle. I just FOIA request to see what they did, and they did it. But they went through Congress to get that money. We
Yeah.
need to do the same thing. You know, as much as we struggle as small producers, we need to tap into the state and your legislator to get those dollars. They have the money. Your governor has the money, and it's already allocated because the
Yeah.
feds send it through
Well,
our excise tax. That's your
Sean,
money.
it might be a really a powerful play for you. What Sean has got is he had launched a brand considered the first Appalachian whiskey, right? We're calling it that. And it was really tied in. I don't mean to tell your story for you, but it was
No,
really
it's
tied
fine.
into the Irish heritage and the Celtic roots of a lot of people who um, are the backbone of Appalachia, which is not, I don't think, is widely recognized.
Right.
It was what Sean's initial mission was with the brand, which was Celtic something.
Celtic Honor. Yeah,
Celtic
Celtic Honor was the concept release.
Yeah. So his new brand is more of I think a more cultural, a wider appeal, and it's high holler. You know, like high holler. I'm a holler.
Yeah, I mean, with the thesis of elevating the perception of the region and of whiskey from the region outside of moonshine, which is what we've predominantly been known, in the area for a long time. There's a place for that, but we're wanting to tell the story, really what we feel like is the origin story of American whiskey. It came through the mountains of Appalachia first before
Right.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Thank you,
But
Mike.
yeah, no, but that really now is a good focal point to look at grants and really tap into some
Yeah,
of the
for sure.
cultural organizations, which we kind of been thinking about it, I think, in terms of people who have money who might want to do this, but more organizations that might get back at anyhow. Um, so Dave, tell us what's new in your world of tumbling dice and other exciting um, innovations.
Nothing really incredibly innovative, but the latest is bottled our first bottled in bond 11-year-old bourbon last month,
Nice.
and that's hit a nice place in the market. People like that. and continuing trends. Everything that we do at least is leaning towards older age statements or cocktail priced whiskey.
Hmm. What's in that 11?
What is 99% corn bourbon from MGP?
Mhm.
Nice.
Nice.
And it was 11, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, well, that's very exciting. What markets are your strongest markets?
Strongest market, probably without a doubt, is DC, Maryland. We do okay in New York. We're in the middle of a distribution transition there. Illinois is okay. California is all right. Um, it really depends. I mean, we're in a lot of markets, and it feels like we're always playing whack-a-mole. And
Hmm.
Tennessee is a bright spot this year. Wasn't last year.
Hmm.
Well, it's because you're coming up with all sorts of different iterations. It's keeping the public eager to figure out what's the next Dave Schmier move.
Mm.
Could be, could be. Hey, Vanessa, have we met?
Maybe at ADI.
I don't know if we met, but Brian Fake thinks the world of you. He's always talking about you.
Yeah,
But
that's my president
that's your president.
Oh, the guilds.
of the Guild. I just spoke to him 2 hours yesterday. He wished he came to Albany at the time when I was getting the award, because then we get to schmooze with all the Senate.
Hmm.
But yeah, Brian is my guy. I love Brian. He's
Yeah.
my neighbor too.
Is
He
he
doesn't
still
live far
is
from
he
me.
still doing any distilling, or is that slowed down for him?
That slowed down a lot. I mean, he
Yeah.
has employees, and he just got out of his contract with Southern. He was able to get dropped by Southern without paying a penalty. You know how that is. You
Was it
know,
Southern or was it Empire he was struggling with?
it was Southern.
What
Okay.
what
It
day
was,
are we talking about?
He was with him.
I know, right? But he, we try to. He does a great job with our guild. That's why we elected him president again. He does an amazing job, and he goes up there and we do the work, to talk with the legislators and get our bill across. We just passed a new bill. It's called the New York brand bill. We just got that signed. And so money will be, that'll help us producers that are doing contract manufacturing, because now people out of the state would have to get a pay for to be a brand in New York, and that money goes to our beverage fund. But yeah, Brian, I speak to on a regular basis, as well as Teresa. And you guys know that Manhattan Beer is buying RNDC, right?
Oh, really?
Sort of, right?
The New York market, right? The New York market, right?
Yeah, because Southern bought AB, right? Anheuser-Busch.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is because they're fighting to not have Reyes in this market. They don't want Reyes in this market.
Yeah.
And
Or it's top on Reyes' list to be in that market.
yeah, but they're making sure that it doesn't happen. That's what they're doing. They're blocking it. And I thought I was in the, remember I told you I was hoping when RNDC sold to Reyes in those markets, and I was hoping that I got dropped. I didn't get dropped. Those
Mm.
mother fathers sold my brand to Reyes. I got a contract. I had to sign to approve of the transaction. So I'm fucking stuck.
Well, you'll have to keep us apprised on how that works.
Yeah. But
From the,
all in all, everybody's good. Dave. Go back to Dave. Because I know I don't want to take up this.
No,
I know I'm exciting to talk to.
You are always, but I want to catch up with Ernesto because he's driving and, who knows where he's going.
Ernesto, how fast are you going?
Could be Mexico. Could be Mexico.
Now I just let me see if I can flip this over real quick and show you guys. I don't know how to do it. Sorry. Here you go. I am going to the LA County Fairplex.
There's a little show there today? A little.
The LA County Fair started yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and since our brands participate in the Los Angeles International Spirits Competition, which is held here, and we win. We got gold medals with our brands. We do master classes during the fair classes about tequila, mezcal, raicilla, sotol, but all are winning brands. So I'm gonna come and pick up a schedule right now. To bring
Well, you and I,
like twice a week to be doing.
you're breaking up, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Ernesto,
sorry.
I want to.
I
Can we get on the calendar, you and I, for next week? I want to pick up the conversation that we started a month or so ago about bulk tequila.
Absolutely. Yes.
And really see if we can brainstorm a way to do that. So
yeah.
I'll shoot you an email and with a link to my Calendly, and you can pick what works.
Send me an email or text, whatever. Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir.
But meantime, what other headlines are there from the world of tequila?
Well, it's a little flat. Right now I have in my portfolio. I've got some flavored tequilas. I've got some sweeter style tequila, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had it, for 20 years or whatever. Oh shit. Hold on. And those are really, really slow down. Right now, our additive freeze, our small batch, all that stuff is what's really, really working, really, really picking up. So in general, tequila sales are down, but craft tequila sales are up. That same like the market share was switched over to.
Is it still very much the specialty smaller batch, the specialty bottles?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mr. Clancy has joined us. How are you today, sir?
Hi, folks. How's it going?
It's going well. It's good to see you. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not staying for long now. I'm just busy Friday afternoon, and I've spent a week in Scotland, in Edinburgh, at the World Distillers Spirits Conference. So just a lot of stuff to catch up on today.
Wow.
How was the show?
Very good. Yeah, no, it's very good. It's a real technical, nerdy, scientific conference. I love it. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's a real detail on a lot of topics to do with production and kind of associated science and technology behind that.
Good morning. I need to go to the front office to pick up tickets and stuff like that. I'm one of the vendors. Thank you.
Yeah. But no, very good conference. Obviously, where the industry is at the moment, lots of talk about that. Lots of suppliers who were there, kind of, the industry is struggling a bit. They're struggling a bit. Everyone kind of, looking for the green shoots and the light at the end of the tunnel. And if people would stop creating geopolitical instability, that would help us all, I think.
But people who shall go unnamed?
Well, yes.
I understand from everything I see is that Europe seems to be a good 16 to 18 months ahead of North America, where they're at least coming out. I mean, there's more new products coming out of Europe than there is out of the US right now, because that's what I deal with a lot of suppliers over in Europe. I have a few customers in Europe, and they're, at least on my side, on the glass production side, a lot of people are feeling a little bit more positive about that. We'll call them almost tailwinds now in Europe versus what's still facing us here in North America.
Yeah, I mean it's life goes on. I suppose there's there's opportunities in Asia that people like us are looking at that is starting to deliver some volume, and I suppose we can reach that maybe a little easier. Um, but yeah, it's not an easy ride for anyone.
No.
And I mean things like this Brown Foreman, what's going to happen with Brown Foreman is kind of an issue as well for people in the industry. They had a small distillery in Ireland, Slane Castle Distillery. They've just gone on extended pause this week and laid off their production team. So, bar their kind of head guy who's gone into a different kind of European or corporate kind of role, but the rest of the production team, some of them there 14 years are gone. So,
Wow.
that's kind of tough, But on the converse of that, Waterford Distillery is just about to get going again.
They were just purchased by TDG,
they,
right?
they were purchased by Tennessee Distilling, yeah. So, and they've hired a couple of people from within the industry, a couple of good people, and they're going to start cranking that back up again. So, look, it swings and roundabouts, but we prefer more positivity and more stability, I think. And
for
if
sure.
any of you have any levers that you can pull to help that, yeah, please use them. So
I'm guessing that the expediting the Brown Foreman closing would be the fact that the Pernod deal didn't proceed, because that would seemingly make sense, since Pernod's biggest brand is Irish whiskey.
yeah, to be honest, the small distillery was, wouldn't it wouldn't have been anywhere. It wouldn't have been significant on the radar versus what they produce in Jameson in Middleton Distillery. It's a pretty small distillery now. It was, so it's a malt distillery. They don't really produce malt in Middleton, so they could have produced, kept that. But anyway, look, it is where it is now.
It's okay. I got you.
Yeah, it wasn't of significant scale relative to Middleton.
Yeah.
A small in middle-sized independent distillery scale, but insignificant scale compared to Middleton. So
Right.
yeah.
So what are you seeing anything in terms of I don't know, any export opportunities? That is anything coming into the U.S. of significance from the U.S.?
In terms of opportunities,
yeah,
and there's not great opportunities in the US for anyone as far as I know. And just to compound that, you had a visitor last week from across the pond here, and
the Scotch, yeah,
you had the king over there, and he got a tariff announcement while he was there. So, yet again that creates instability because, and I was talking to one of my colleagues from Northern Ireland over during the week about this, and we were kind of saying if he had a container ready to go to his importer in the US, and suddenly you get an announcement like that, what's the importer going to do? Only say, hold off on that for about 6 weeks now while we figure out what's going to happen with this tariff stuff. And if you've paid for all those, putting that stuff into the bottle, you don't want to be waiting for another while. So just stop changing things.
Amen.
Even when it's supposed to be good for, yeah, right. It's disruptive. Oh, I think you just
Sorry. That's the story. What's happening over your side of the pond? Lots of good news, I hope.
Well, let's see. Is there lots of good news? I think so. I mean, I feel like, well, there were the big headlines here with what was going to happen with Pernod and Sazerac and, and Brown Foreman, and now none of that's happening. So that that was a
Dave's going to
moment.
buy them.
You think?
No.
Dave, you buying company?
I can only trade barrels of whiskey. I think on the good news front, depending on what side I'm talking about, is that I think we're seeing aged barrels becoming more reasonable. Of course, that doesn't help me with all the barrels I have that I paid too much for, but
Well, welcome to the club.
yeah, I'm sure, Michael, I'm sure. But we're on our pathway back to rationalization. Michael can probably tell you whether it's going to be a year or 10 years, but
Yeah, no, I would say it's interesting. It's kind of going up both ways at the same time. There was first there was the shock and awe of how can they be selling it for this little, and then the reality is even at those prices, it's still sitting there, which is shocking. But they're still.
is it shocking?
Um, it is in the sense that the idea that you could buy anything over six, first of all, used to be impossible. And if you did, it was going to be, $3,000 easy, maybe more. And now that's like, $1,500,
Yeah.
and
I think because there's so much liquid out there,
right.
and you can throw other factors into it, the cost of money and whatnot,
Mhm.
but that for 10 years, if you had a whiskey brand that the prices were going up and scarcity was always a thing. So
Mhm.
you would buy whiskey to last you the next several years. Right now, for a lot of people, they're going to buy what they need today,
That's right,
and
because they can,
there's no concern that there won't be whiskey in 6 months when they need more, or 3 months when they need more, or a year when they need more. So they're not buying anything other than what they need. So
Yep.
you look at it and go, that's a great deal. And obviously we have
Right.
conversations
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
and that's a great deal, but you know what? I don't really need it, and I need the cash more, and I'm not missing out on anything by not buying
And
it
you'll
today.
and you'll find some, there will be a point.
That'll change one day, all of a
I was going to
sudden.
say there will
But
be a point when a lot of that. So really, what's happening? The market has shifted to. I'm not looking at anything that's less than six. Nobody's buying 2-year-old, even 4-year-old unless they really need it because that's what's on their age statement and they don't want to change that. But there's such a glut. 22 and 23 were the 2 years where production peaked, right? Everybody, some new producers came online, existing producers, the Sazeracs of the world, even the big guys, the small guys. There was just, way too much. And a lot of that was driven by the investor model, which MGP and Wilderness Trail and Bardstown and Green River, they were all propped up by investors buying tens of thousands of barrels of new fill every year, for crazy low costs, even when it wasn't, for $500. What now is the price? But these big investors were paying that when everyone else was paying, $700 or $800. But they'd be laying down minimum of 10 and up to 50,000 barrels a year from each of these distilleries. So the point is there was artificial um, um, profitability, I guess, with all these big distillers, and they just kept expanding because it seemed like an endless pool. And now the private equity investors many of them who are holding big inventories of barrels that were, laid down between 19 and 24, or even maybe 25, but mostly 24. It's a different world, and so they're not putting any more money into it.
Well, they're
now
bleeding.
Figure out how do I, they're either dumping it now, or they're saying how do I cover these costs, because now I need to hold it for 8 years. I mean, I did the same thing. We've got bourbon bond funds that at the time we figured, no, we don't need to keep it any more than 4 years. And now a lot of those barrels are 6, and they're worth less than, in some cases, not less, but they're, we can sell them, but we're getting less than we would have. I've got one in particular. I've got some Wilderness Trail that we bought, and like 800 barrels. And in the first year, we bought them at 1 or 1.5. So a year into it, it was 2.5. I sold most of them for like 2,800 to 24 to 2,800, right? There's like 78 barrels remaining from the 800, and they've been sitting there. They're now 6 years old, and I just yesterday reduced the price to like 1,900, and it's like, let's just. So
That's tough.
but it's the other thing is that I'm seeing the reality is that the low price is the biggest benefit to the smaller brands and smaller producers of getting these barrels. And the thing that was interesting is that a lot of the players who would never have considered it were entertaining small MOQ orders. And I'm seeing that change a little bit because now Pernod has raised the price of many of their listings that are coming to the table, but they're then creating bigger discounts for 500 plus, because nobody's buying 500 plus of anything right now. And so at the same time, you're starting to see pricing, even on that arbitrage stuff, going up. Yet, as I say that, I have had 2 contacts in the past week, people who have barrels that they just need to get out of, and they're not looking at any strategy to hold it any longer. So I've actually been in conversations with one group to literally take possession of them in exchange for the holding costs. And then, in 2 years, when we sell them, we do a split. So they're going to lose money. But people are willing to do that. But all these things have to move off the market. And I think that it's going to take, at least 2 years. And I've said this before, but I do think the one a bellwether here is that there is not a lot of new fill if that's being laid down now on speculation. It's only new fill for people that need it or think they need it, and some investors. I mean, because we've done some.
You also left out idiots who signed contracts in 2023.
Well, there's that. I was talking to somebody yesterday who said, "Hey, I think we finally got out of it. We got out of that Bardstown contract because I used to buy some of their barrels because they didn't need them all." Anyway, but I do think that the issue will be in 2 years. What happens when you want some 2-year-old, or really more, it's 4 years when you need 4-year-old.
You got my number.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, it's an interesting moment for sure, and it's not over yet. Although I did see something. So Pernod just released like 5,000 barrels of Green River, that I have to say proudly is the most expensive on their list because I sold it to them. And they even said to me, "Wow, we paid that?" Like, "You did. You called me." So it was stuff that I think was a year and a half. It was definitely under 2 years old, and they paid like $2,100.
Jeez.
For now, they've got them on for 22. So 3 years later.
The old I just want what I have in them. The market be damned.
Yeah. Now I do know that there's another a big shoe drop that I can give you insight on, is that we did sell 11,000 barrels to one of the brands, and about 2 weeks before they announced that they were buying a Kentucky distillery. So they didn't need it 2 weeks later, but sorry, the transaction has already happened and closed. So they've got, I know that there's 11,000 barrels of 21% bourbon that is non-GMO. I can tell you that because it was meant for Europe. And
Wow.
yeah, and they're sitting on it.
And you said how much was that again?
That one I did not disclose.
Oh, okay.
That was a different one. But I do think the number still was more than they would definitely be paying today, even at its current age. But that was to Dave's point, or whoever it was, that was their mentality then. They were catching up. They thought they were behind the eight ball in the whiskey space. These are big global brands, number 2 and number 4, maybe. So not Diageo and not Brown-Forman. So,
Well, yeah, that's
and,
obvious.
and they were, as guilty of this panic. Like they didn't know what was happening. Like all they knew is that we better lock this stuff down because we don't know if we're gonna ever get what we need. And it's amazing how much of it is MGP.
Wow.
Everybody has MGP.
And let me point out that MGP shut down their long-term clients who weren't buying tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they shut them when
Let's
they
never
when they
forget that.
Yep.
No. Oh, yeah. And even storage, they were like, you got to get your barrels out of here by year 4. And, now they're year 6 and they're happy to keep sending invoices. So,
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a client call me. I was off for
Yep.
half the call there. I apologize, but I have to jump for my next one really quick. You and I usually wanted to connect separately, so just let me know when
Yeah.
you've got some availability. And for
Yeah.
anybody that's got barrel allocation that you're insuring with a property policy or inland marine or something like that, the property insurance market has done a 180 where we were seeing huge increases in prices. That's gone the other way around. And you combine that with the lower prices of barrels that you guys are talking about, it's worth reevaluating your what we call a total insured value or your statement of values when you're talking to your insurance brokers to at your next renewal or even in the middle of your renewal. Talk to your insurance company to reduce the values that are being covered and you save money that way.
On our future call, I would like you to dig into and share, if you can. Does anyone ever have any claims filed? And did anyone get, real checks back? I don't know claims.
I've not, fortunately, none of the folks that I work with have had claims to their property. I read about it. It's usually the big ones that I see, or you see stories about theft.
Yeah.
You see stuff go missing off trucks every once in a while, but it hasn't happened to me. I just hear the horror stories.
So indirectly, a bunch of years ago, relating to the failed Kelvin barrels, I had some barrels it was through Ultra Pure, which was a mess, and there definitely was an argument over valuation. And that was when barrels were going up in value. So
Yeah.
that was the challenge. But to Dan's point, we did a little bit of that last year where we went to our insurance company and said, the replacement value of these things is not what it was a year ago.
Right.
Let's adjust that because again, I don't at that time anymore. There was a point where if we lost a barrel, it wouldn't just be the value of the barrel. We couldn't replace it. So there was income that we were going to lose.
Right.
Now,
and that's not the case now. Yeah.
Almost every barrel we have, we can replace it for quite a bit less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was having a conversation, and Dan, if you have to go, I'm sorry, but I was having a conversation with a group that is developing barrel sensor and warehouse monitoring programs with the idea that, if you're not paying, you don't have to pay as much for insurance, but maybe you put 50 cents a month per barrel and have, a sensor or a dollar and have a sensor that's monitoring, exactly where the barrel is, what's going on, how literally it can measure sensory as well. And to know when it's, what the oak percentage is and all kinds of things. So I'm waiting for them to send me some of their data because they're doing they've done some installs. But to me that, it was an interesting element. It's like, well, in a world where you're not spending a lot of money for insurance and a value, but you still want to know that what's in the barrel is what you expect it to be. And
to Dave's point about the valuation and if there's a loss, what actually gets paid out when prices of barrels drop. If you got a barrel valued at $2,000 and now it costs $350 to replace it somehow, Michael, to your point earlier, well, then you run into kind of a moral hazard, is what we call it in our industry. That well, maybe I want my warehouse to burn down because if I have an agreed value, when that's the way it's supposed to
Oh,
be. I have an agreed value. This is recorded. I'm saying you shouldn't be doing this.
wait,
Or something goes missing.
Listen, the mafia can
pull
get
that
paid
clip.
off.
Yeah, lots of jokes running around in my head, but it is being recorded.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. So as a professional,
You're saying don't
advisor,
do
this
that.
is not something that you should be doing. No,
Don't
not at all.
leave dirty rags at the bottom of the
I
rich.
feel a lightning storm coming on.
Yeah, exactly.
That time of
Anyway,
year.
You can hire
everybody,
Canadians. We'll do it.
if anybody has any questions or needs
Oh,
help,
it's
I'm
legal
always,
in Canada, Attila?
What's that?
It's legal in Canada?
Everything is subjective.
Okay.
I got to jump, guys. If
right,
anybody
thanks,
needs
Dan.
help with anything, I'm all ears. Michael, we can connect separately, and wish you guys all the best.
Hey,
thanks,
thanks. Have a
Dan.
good weekend.
I have to jump off here as well, guys. So good to see you all, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch
Yes.
up again before too long in a nice stable environment with
A stable environment.
yes,
Well, summer's
absolutely.
coming up. I don't know if that's going to be a stable
Yeah,
environment.
hopefully. Right. Okay. Good luck. Have a good nice weekend, folks, and a good May. Okay. Talk to you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I think at that point, unless anyone has another topic to introduce, I think this has been jovial and informative all at the same time as we aim to achieve every month.
I do.
You do?
Sean, the only thing I'm going to say is with your rebranding, if you're looking for some sort of packaging or glass or whatnot, that's kind of, hopefully David will back me up and say something nice. That's our specialty. Be happy to work with you. You can reach out to me afterwards.
I'd love to. Yeah, I was hoping to connect with everyone at least on LinkedIn and stay in touch, guys. Appreciate what everybody's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to that end, I've worked with Attila for about 15 years, and I still work with him. So
Awesome.
So that's a good.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to you. Let's talk soon.
Okay.
I never worked with Attila, but I drank with him and hung out.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did in Detroit. That was fun.
Detroit.
Yep.
This was memorable.
You know
So
what?
he's cool with me.
I did want to did anybody go to ACSA this year aside from myself?
Yeah.
I
Right.
did not this year, and it was purely for personal reasons because I had a family event to go to, and I chose that.
similar.
Just to give you a quick, I'll give you a 30-second rundown. ACSA, of course, they changed the lady at the helm.
Yep.
Out of 150 or 140 exhibitors that we had 4 years ago, we were down under 80. And out of those 80, probably 10 or 15 just bailed at the last minute, recognizing that there was not a lot of people to attend. I don't know if ACSA is going to turn around and change the way they work. But truthfully, the amount of newbies that were coming out and either developing brands because it's now cheaper than starting your own distillery or distillers, the foot traffic was, and I will say this in the best spirit I can, abysmal.
Wow.
It was really, really bad. Aside from the people that I know who were there exhibiting with me. We, after 2 days, maybe had half a dozen leads.
Mm.
It was really, and it was really, really bad. No other way to say it. We spoke to the people at ACSA and spoke to the people at ADI, and I'm hoping that somehow they're going to look at collaborating together to bring a better show to the forefront. Because if as an exhibitor having to go to Sacramento,
Yeah.
then down to Miami, I
Yeah.
don't mind the travel, but at some point in time there has to be an economics to all this. And this year was probably the weakest year I've seen in God knows how long.
Yeah, and I think the issue is locations.
Yeah.
It's part of
I
the
think,
fact that ACSA being in Sacramento,
yeah.
that makes it a lot bigger challenge for everybody on the East Coast, and it's not a major thoroughfare. And then Miami in August,
And you get a good deal for a room. There's that.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
been to Miami in August, and it wasn't pretty.
I think you could get a hurricane too. It makes it exciting.
Yeah.
I think the location was probably the opposite of the cherry on top, I suppose. But the reality, I think, is we all know that a lot of people are struggling, and everyone is aware of every dollar they spend.
Yeah.
And that's crucial. And I ran for a board seat and did not win at ACSA, but I had a long talk with Margie earlier this year before I agreed to even run, and I'm pretty good friends with Emily, and so there's definitely changes. It's a really tricky time for them to make changes, but the conversations I had with Margie went back to that, we're past the point of excitement in the business and everyone wants to go to these events because you're supposed to. You need, as ADI or ACSA, or as Attila alluded to, putting them together, they need to offer value.
Yep.
And what's the value? What am I getting out of this? And until they answer that, I don't think things will turn around.
Yeah, I think when you think back at what made these shows or made these organizations grow, it was the rapid growth of craft. We went from 400 distillers to 3,000 in about 4 years, and everybody used to make it their business to go to the shows because otherwise, how am I going to know what everyone else is doing and what's the new gimmick, or I need to order equipment, or nobody's really worried about ordering equipment today for expansion. I mean, maybe for replacement. I'm not saying nobody, but you know what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, all these new distilleries are coming out of the ground, but brands are coming out of the ground because they're not going to produce their own stuff. And I think it's a shift.
Danny Prospero was there, and we sat and we chatted with him for probably the good part of a half an hour, and he didn't have a booth. He just walked around and he wanted to see what the lay of the land was. But machinery makers are struggling. You can pick up used machines that some of them less than a year old for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. So a lot more people are looking at integrate. So, I mean, those who know how to integrate a machine type A to a machine type B, if they're managing to integrate that, a lot of people are buying used equipment out there, and there's a lot of it.
Yep, there is. All right. Well, with that, let's go have a drink.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You guys have a good one.
Here, guys.
See ya.
All right.
We'll be in touch.
All right. Have a good one.
Call me, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you. Let me see. Next month is what day?
It's Sunday.
Yeah.
No. I know Mother's Day.
The next event.
Oh, the next one
is Friday, June 5th. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Call me, guys. Let's do some business, make some money.
Let's do it.